Morning, Barry Bryson here. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. Yes, we're still in the Family Bible Class studios. Hopefully, in a few episodes, I'll have my camera issues resolved and we can go back to the 5 Good Minutes studios and you can go back to trying to determine all the things that are on the shelves behind my head. Again, let me apologize if the glare from my head in this bright room is triggering any episodes or, blinding you, or just put some shades on and or just, close your eyes and just listen. But thank you for joining me today for another 5 Good Minutes. Jesus is in the temple. This is the last week of his life, days before he dies. The Pharisees came yesterday with the Herodians and tried to trap him with a question about taxes. And today the Sadducees are going to come and take their best shot at Jesus with a story that's just silly, really. The Sadducees were the high priestly party, and they were a party. They were joined together not so much by theology, but by shared political interest. Now, those political interests had to do with governing the religious life of the people. But this is the party of Caiaphas. This is the party of Annas. This is the high priestly party. And this party only believes in the books of Moses. They don't believe anything beyond the books of Moses are really from God or binding. Not that the Psalms of David aren't useful in worship, and that the wisdom that Solomon wrote, isn't helpful. But you had to stick with Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. That was truly the Word of God. And since there's not really anything in those 5 books that would lead one necessarily to believe in the resurrection of the dead or life after death, not explicitly, they rejected any notion of the resurrection, whereas the Pharisees and other groups had quite a bit of literature on the Messianic age and what eternity was going to look like. So that's what's informing this question. They're trying to construct an argument that would make it logically impossible for a person to believe there is a resurrection or to hold fast at the same time to a knowledge of to a belief in the resurrection and a belief simultaneously in the law. And they're going to bring up the Levirate law, the law of levirate marriage. So let's read what they say. And some Sadducees who say there is no resurrection came to him and began questioning him, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us a law that if a man's brother dies and leaves behind a wife and leaves no child, his brother should take his wife and raise up offspring to his brother." That's in Deuteronomy chapter 25. And of course, that factors in largely in the book of Ruth. Now there were 7 brothers. The first one took a wife and died, leaving no offspring. The second one took her and died, leaving no offspring. And the third likewise. And so all 7 left no offspring. Last of all, the woman died too. This is a toxic woman, This is like if you dated one of the Cartwright brothers on Bonanza, you're going to be dead by the end of the episode. So, you'd think at some point, like Judah with Tamar, you'd say, this isn't working out so well. Let's not do this anymore. It's a silly, silly story. Here's their question. In the resurrection, when they rise again, which one's wife will she be? For all 7 had her as a wife. And Jesus said to them, "Is this not the reason you are mistaken, and that you don't understand the scriptures or the power of God? For when they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like the angels in heaven. But regarding the fact that the dead rise again, have you not read in the book of Moses, in the passage about the burning bush, how God spoke to him saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You're greatly mistaken. This is a masterful answer that Jesus gives. In the first place, he affirms immediately that there is a resurrection. You don't get anything about the resurrection. There is a resurrection, but human earthly categories are irrelevant. He doesn't say we're going to become angels like Clarence Oddbody, second class, and we have to earn our wings. That's not what he's saying at all. He's saying that in God's presence, beyond this universe, beyond this habitat that God has built for us, when we're with him, that human categories are irrelevant. They don't mean anything. We're just there as persons, eternal persons in the presence of God. And then to prove from the text that they themselves accept that there is a resurrection of the dead, this is so masterful. God at the burning bush said to Moses, and he identifies himself other places in this way, but he mentions this specific one. God at the burning bush said to Moses, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not I was. I am the God who was the God of Abraham, but I am the God of Abraham. And that's key because God's name in Hebrew, Yahweh, means the one who is. I am that I am, God says to Moses at the burning bush, the one who exists. And he says, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God is the God of the living, not the God of the dead. When he spoke of Abraham as being and is, he means Abraham is alive. He can't now be the God of Abraham if Abraham's dead. He would have been the God of Abraham during Abraham's life. And so in this way, Jesus uses their own text to prove to them, quite simply, by making a statement, God is not the God of the dead, he's the God of the living. Listen to the tense. Listen to what he said quite clearly, that what they believed was not true. It's an amazing thing. The miracle is the word itself, and it's an amazing thing what Jesus does with this silly question. He doesn't dignify it by getting in any way deep into the weeds with it. He just simply states the truth. Okay, next time we have an honest question, and there's a straightforward and very important answer given to it. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.